good? Welcome to a special edition of the Men Like Us podcast. We have a lady on the show. So, what's going on, Stormy? Introduce yourself to the new audience here.
Hi, I'm Stormy, and I am excited to be here on the Men Like Us podcast with the fellas. It's nice to be with the fellas.
Yes, and welcome. Thanks for joining us and giving us your time. So I did a collaborative video with Stormy last year. So just so y'all know where'd you get her? Why is she the one that gets me on the show? Well, she's a content creator as well. If you want to go check out her channel, tell them where where they can find you.
So you can find me on YouTube. My channel is ValdezINC, ValdezINC. We have a kind of like a talk show production called Sister Voices Speaking. And then we have a non-video only audio podcast called Stormy Days, the podcast. And it's more like science-based, gossip-based. I'm a science junkie, so we do a lot of science talking. And then we recently created from our network, I have a network called Sin Circle, which stands for Sisters International National Network. And from that network, we have something called Panel of Women, which we have trans women and women interacting together on like a podcast type of platform, if you want to say. And we have different topics, and you can find me on YouTube.
All right. Go check it out. So now that we've been going for a few minutes, we definitely got some more people in on the stream right now. So what's good, everybody? Thanks for joining us for yet another Friday evening. I know I've been gone for a minute. Please don't hate me for it. Life is busy. Lots of stuff going on, but we just gonna jump right into it. So, I know I'm late on this. I know. But there's this story about this Miami stripper, Miss TS Hennessy Marie. It was definitely blowing up, and it's just worth commentary. I know it's been talked into the ground on some other channels, but hey, we're gonna have our say too. So just to give y'all some background, this woman named Hennessy Marie, I don't think she's from Miami. She's from I think she might be West Coast or New York, one of the two, but from a bigger city, and then went down to Miami. She went and got her, SRS, all that stuff, and then went down to Miami to work as a stripper. And, she was working at the strip club, doing her thing. And, nobody there knew that she was trans. And she started engaging with men who visited the strip club as well. This is her. This is T.S. Hennessy Marie. So then after she started engaging with men at the club, then I guess for whatever reason, she started, quote, exposing men and outing them on social media. And it's kind of just created a flurry of reaction videos from content creators across YouTube. And I think the reaction has been it was mostly bad, disingenuous. Some of it is very cringeworthy because they're saying, "Oh, well, this man shouldn't have been treated." So the people doing the conversation isn't, or content really isn't, they're not doing it the best they could. But anywho, so yeah, just the long and short of it for me, I am 110% in support of her working at the strip club and not informing her bosses, the management, the owners, whatever. That strip club is not entitled to know that she is trans. However, any individual she decided to engage in sexual activities with had a right to know. And the fact that she didn't say anything, she kind of took away their choice. And I believe everybody should have a choice to opt in or out in terms of whatever the fuck they do. So that's just me off top. But Stormy, I'm gonna let you take it away and tell us what you think about this story, because I know we was chopping it up a little bit before we got started here about it. So Let your voice be heard.
Okay. So this can go like 9,000 different ways. And I know some trans women who are post-op, they feel that they don't have to tell dudes. I'm in between. I probably would say something only because I think it is fair. And I think probably aesthetically, I probably would think they probably would know a difference. So that part, I'm really on the fence. I think you definitely should be open about telling them you're trans when you get to an intimate position. But on the contrary of her being a stripper, I think that's dope. I didn't know much about the story. I just kind of like found out honestly from a meme, and someone sent it to me, and I'm not gonna say that I keyed and laughed about it, but I was just like, oh my god, what is going on here? Like, I don't like exposing. I think it's not right. I don't even really know what that means because from my point of view, when you say you're exposing guys, I kind of feel like, are you making us as trans women look bad? Like, ha ha, yeah, I'm exposing you. You were with a trans woman. It's kind of like makes us look bad. What do you guys think?
True.
It's almost like
One
a
thing
bad thing.
I didn't like is because she was like, you know, one of the content creators, I forgot her name, but she said she kept on saying that calling them gay men. Just let y'all next with me. I'm like, okay, regardless if you transition, right? Way far out for your transition. Even got your whole body done, even got SRS and are gay. What does that make you? And this is what I'm not understanding. I hate girls that do that. Give me some, like, you know, like Stormy was saying, it's like you making it bad. A trans woman, it's bad. Like, why are you doing that? That's the only thing I didn't like about by saying, you know, she didn't have a she didn't have to let her employer was trans or whatever, but she do have to let the guys that she's engaged in sex, she have to let them have their right to choose if they want to go forward with this. Or but me personally, I just didn't like the part where she was like referring to the men as gay now and how they do. It's bugged out. I don't like any woman that do that. Any trans woman don't like that.
Colin, you got any thoughts?
I do actually. So in regards to the strip club itself, Chris, I do agree with you. I don't think that that's something that should need to be disclosed. Like, it's a place of employment, and so where I'm in Canada, that's not the kind of thing that needs to be disclosed. When it comes to personal relationships, though, I do feel like that should be disclosed, but I feel like aside from the fact that it needs to be disclosed, in my opinion, for everybody's comfortability, it's also a safety thing as well. And again, I'm basing this off of like stories I've heard, friends that I have. I mean, like I have two trans women friends who, one is post-op, one is pre-op, and they are both talking about going stealth, particularly, and in my opinion, unfortunately, the pre-op trans friends that I have, she doesn't disclose until she, you know, drops her skirt. And that's, to me, a big safety issue as well, because of like a lot of what we see within the world that we live in. So personally, I do think that it's important to disclose for a number of factors. Again, like one being comfortability, being understanding and accepting. But on the opposite side of things, the safety aspect for the women involved in this, because that's a big thing. And when I hear particularly people I care about as friends, saying like, "Oh, I don't disclose." And again, this is both pre-op and post-op. It concerns me from a safety aspect. If again, like the being completely open with the person that you're going to be intimate with, great. But on that safety aspect, we don't need to see another fucking article about a trans woman being hurt.
Right. I agree.
Right? So that's my opinion on the matter.
You know what? I'll tell you this much.
Do you think, do you have to, like, when you say, like, tell the person that they're trans, you mean like in an intimate time? Because I also don't think a trans woman should go like to every human being and be like, oh my God, I'm trans. But I think that when you come to like a intimate setting, I think it's important.
And I completely agree with you on that one, Stormy. So what I was saying, not like you don't have to tell everybody. Not everybody needs to know. But in that very intimate setting, between you and a person that you're going to be intimate with, that's when I think it's important.
Yes, absolutely. I'll share a story really quick. I was probably 24, 25, and I was really dibbling, dabbling in, you know, procedures that made me more feminine, and I was really on the hormones. And I met this guy, and this is a whole nother conversation, but like there's colorism within especially the Black trans community, so there was a lot of pressure to be like what they call cunt and womanly and so femme. And you know, passable, but they called it the CUNT word.
No, I understand.
And like, oh, Miss Thing, you are not cunt, honey. You need to take more meds. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm taking shots, patches, pills. And so like because they always made me feel like it wasn't like passable enough, I assumed like the whole world knew. So I met this person, he owned a store and he was Arabian. And I thought, like, I swear to God, I thought he knew I was trans. And he didn't. And like he almost like tried to attack me and was like, oh my God, I'll, you know, just take
all
everything.
these horrible things.
Yeah, right. I don't want to like speak into existence, but like I'll do these things I need to do. And I was just like, OMG, like what the fuck? So then he left, and then like I literally had to like walk around his store where I live to get home. Like I would like cross other streets, walk down, and then come down. It was so weird. But that's how like nervous I was. And I don't think a lot of girls understand when you start having surgeries and you really start transitioning to that opposite sex, it could be very dangerous because some girls don't understand the allure that they have. And if you're not honest, it definitely could be very dangerous. And I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah, and it is very unfortunate. Sincerely, it's very unfortunate that happens. It's really shitty that it's
the more passable you get, the harder it is also to like tell guys, especially if you like them, because sometimes you might be like, oh my God, I really like this man, and then when you tell them, it's like, oh girl, are you fucking nuts? No way. And you're like, oh my God. So yeah, it's like a double whammy,
double standard. Yeah, like yeah, that's really shitty. And it's really shitty that again, like in 2022, we still live in a world that's even a thing. Now obviously it's different for when you're interacting with like guys like us. But in just the day to day, it's so shitty. But again, like from a safety aspect, it's so important in that very intimate setting. Everybody else, fuck them. Like
when you said your girlfriends were going stealth, what did they mean by that?
Okay, so that would be that they were not going to disclose at all. And surprise in the moment. Now with my post-op friend that I have, if we're going on the term, which I do feel is a personal definition of passable, she's very elegant. but she still has a lot of issues when it comes to the general populace treating her like a woman. Right. And even with post-op, so I like in that aspect, I worry about the, like her getting a situation, an intimate setting with a man, and something coming up, like around her post-op surgery, or like her lack of other surgeries, like Adam's apple, just something that might be noticed. That every time that she's like, I want to go stealth, I don't want to tell people, I'm looking at her like, that scares me as your friend.
It's go ahead, Troy.
Right. And then with my pre-op friend, it terrifies me even more, because it's like she gets in that moment. And when that moment comes, and all of a sudden, again, the cert comes off, and
boom, cat meat.
Exactly. Right. Just those scenarios scare me so much, as being somebody that cares about these two individuals as a friend. And I'm sitting here like, fuck, don't do either of those things.
Like, what are you doing? I'll tell you this much, man. I don't know. Actually, we're gonna add my homie Dom on the show. What's up,
Hey,
Dom?
what's going on, guys? Hi, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Cool. Yeah, man. Really. So, Dom, we're talking about at this point where we kind of landed on, women stealthing, and one thing I wanted to add in the conversation is I literally have zero friends in the trans community who look back on the dumb decisions they made young, trying to what they call play with fire, and say, yeah, that was a good choice. I should have done that. Like, yeah, that was good. Like, nobody is saying, I've never heard any woman in her 30s or beyond say, yeah, that wasn't a mistake. No, they're like, yeah, I was just dumb. I was young. I know I shouldn't have been doing that. And like everybody has regrets about it. Nobody says this is a winning strategy. But for whatever reason, I think there's a lot of youth. I think, and now this is where I become the enemy of the state. I think there's a little bit of selfishness in there. Like, you gotta have that feeling. You are where, like, you're putting how you feel and what you feel and what you want to feel like above somebody else. Somebody else's like rights. Like, everybody should have the right to know who and what they're dealing with. Everybody should have a right to say yes, no, I'm in for this. I'm not in for that. So even the post-op girls, like, I just think it's wrong, and I think it's really immoral for you to just not give a fuck about how somebody else feels or what they want. You're only concerned about what you want.
Well, and the thing with that too, Chris, is like, how can you say that you care about somebody even in a moment if you're gonna keep that, if you're gonna, put your needs above the other person, particularly in that moment when you're supposed to be focused on the other person?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. I'm being a bad guy. I'm just saying the stuff that the bad guy has to say. So, everybody else can not get canceled. I'm sorry. Let me make that adjustment, because yeah. Give me 1 second.
Well,
we're gonna edit the video.
There's also some stigma, and don't edit anything. Keep it the way it is. Keep it all the way real. I think also there may be like a tinky bit of stigma, because like some girls don't want to be socialized with being known as transgender, because like for me, for example, I come from like a further back transitioning days. We were transsexuals and we wanted to transition to the opposite sex. And I think like the new wave of transgender is why a lot of girls don't want to say they're transgender, because they don't want to be like what they call spooked or like outed or known for something that's not related to them, because like we're all getting pushed under this like umbrella. And so like some girls, like I have a girlfriend who will not tell anyone she's trans, and I find that like super hard to believe, because at first I used to be like intimidated by her, like, oh my god, she's sex change, before I like did whatever I chose to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so fabulous. But then I started seeing certain things like, girl, you're not that real, honey. I'm realer than you, girl. Not to be like competitive, But I was like, how can you not people not know? Not trying to like put my own people down, but it's like we got to keep it real with ourselves. And I was like, there's things that give you away, girl. Like you don't 100% look that much like a woman, girl. And like when I saw her post-op surgery, I was kind of like cringing a tiny bit because I was like, girl, what is going on here? So it's like at the end of the day, like we just got to keep it 100% real. But I do believe that sometimes some girls may feel a little stigma in saying they're trans because there's a lot of things that are going on with this community and it makes it difficult, you know?
Absolutely. There's, I mean, I am not here to sit in the woman's place and take her voice from her or anything like that. I just had to offer up something from the male perspective, because when these conversations are had on the internet, nobody gives a fuck about the guys, their feelings, what they think, what they want.
No, they're ugly.
This is absent. So I just had to put out what I put out there in terms of that. But you know, to kind of get back to the to the Hennessy thing, she had every right not to tell her employer, but these guys that she was having sex with, you know, having sessions with, whatever, I think she was absolutely on the wrong side of this. And anybody who would co-sign on her not telling these men and having sex with them, it's just completely wrong. You're being.
Did y'all see the meme though? Was I the only one that saw the meme?
I have not.
Yeah, no, we didn't see
So,
the meme.
Let me ask you.
Oh my God, it's a kiki.
Let me ask a quick question, because I just watched the video to get caught up on what was going on. So Hennessy, right?
Yeah.
She is post-op or she pre-op?
Post.
She's post-op. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of play two sides about this, right? So if she's post-op, right, she's essentially completed her journey. So technically, does she, if her post-op is done professionally and it looks, this is going to sound bad, but presentable, as in presenting as if it was a cisgender female, does she have to disclose that information?
That's the question that I was going to ask, because that's where I was stuck, because my girlfriend Mahogany, the one I was saying, feels that no, you don't. Because if you think about the science of this, that's why this transgender movement is so different than what I'm used to transitioning. Because back in the days, you had to like get a therapist, get diagnosed, and then you get on hormones. And at the end of that was the surgery. And if you were fortunate to get a good doctor, the girls never spoke of that ever again. And they lived their life as a woman. And so a lot of girls are still trapped in that world where once you transition, you are transitioned to that sex and you live your life like that. So to answer the question, that's where I feel it's a catch-22. Because if I have a fab doctor, I'm probably not saying nothing. I'm just gonna keep it all the way real. I'm probably not, because like I don't know. I think
it's a recipe for destruction. You're building a relationship on lies, live omission, whatever. It's a recipe for destruction. You're not going to be successful in your marriage, whatever else. And if you are until you die, once your husband finds out, it's not going to be good things for him. Like, I literally know a guy who went through a whole marriage, loved the fuck out of his wife, and found out after she died that she was actually trans. And he wasn't hurt by the fact that she was trans. He was hurt by the fact that she didn't trust him. Like, the fact that he wasn't told, it hurt him that she didn't trust him and that he never got to know a certain side of her. And actually, he was jealous of some of the guys like myself who was like, man, like, you know a side of my wife that I never knew. And I'm actually kind of feeling some kind of way about that. Like, it hurts me that she didn't tell me. Like, people is really looking at this shit in a context that doesn't deal with love. You're dealing with want to be fucking blend in. I don't know. You just want to fuck people. You're looking for a fantasy life, whatever. I don't know. But the love, the relationship, that real shit, that isn't even in it because a lot of these girls don't know nothing about it. That's not their experience.
Well, if you think about transitioning, you gotta like have just a little wiggle room, because like it's like a part of your PHI, which is like your protected health information. So this is why I don't understand the new position of the trans, because they're like so pro. Oh my god, everybody gotta know. Back in the days, we were more like, shh, honey, I'm trans. What are you talking about? Like, we didn't talk about it. And so I'm learning a lot of things today. I'm really new because I come from a different type of transitioning era. And like, so like for us, some girls believed that once we transitioned, that was the cure of our diagnosis of being gender dysphoric. So once we transitioned, a lot of us believed that we were that sex, and some girls can't help it, Chris, and they believe that. But that's a part of their condition.
Go ahead, guys. Or one.
I was going to say, yeah, okay. True. I agree with that to a certain extent, right? But then you also have those girls that, go all the way and have that transition, and then they have more dysphoric about their body because they go, okay, wait a minute, is this what I really wanted in this moment in time? This is what I wanted. Now that I've had this surgery, I wish I haven't had it. So
I don't know about that. That's insane. That's why you don't do things before you're ready. I don't. Wow. That's the insanity.
I will say that. I mean, we going before people riot and Google shuts this whole thing down. That is disclaimer. Everybody here, we all understand that's a minority of the population that detransitions and all that stuff. But in terms of the regret time, I think what I've seen more than the detransition stuff is the struggles and I guess no. Well, I don't want to go into that specifically because that ain't got nothing to do with the men. But the part that has to do with the men is really the dating life. Because I did a show about this like really early on in this podcast, where I had a woman. She was just talking about like, hey, yeah, it's my dating pool decreased after I got this surgery because the guys who like trans women mostly like women with penises, and then men who don't deal with trans women, either A, want kids, or B, they don't look at me like a cis woman, which okay, whatever. I'm already canceled. It's on here. I'm canceled.
we see that.
I believe trans women are women. Trans women are women through and through and through. But I look at it like trans women and cis women are both women, but they're not the same. And trans women will never be cis women. And like they're just two different kinds of women. And they're valid in their own right, and they're equal in all things in my mind in terms of rights and privileges of being a woman. But like, I'm sorry. There's no. I will never go on record and truly say trans women are exactly the same as cis women. There are differences.
Well, that's why a lot of trans women walked away from the transgender community, because a lot of us know that. It's the newer age transgenders who don't know that, and they want that to be right. Because I'm a transsexual and I know that, and I'm okay with that. But some girls want to be exactly the same to the extent of going to get implants to have children. What kind of child are you going to have in a trans implanted stomach? Like, I think that's wild. And I'm not so trans that I've lost reality. And I think some things have lost reality.
Look, I would go for that if it was real.
But I mean,
like that's they're doing.
At the same time, though, that's the beauty of the science, right? And that's what makes where we're at in this day and age wonderful, right? So either way, if I'm openly now embracing myself over the past 7-8 years of one being okay, saying, yeah, date trans women, or I was married to a trans woman. I was married to one for about 7-8 years, almost 10. And it took me to realize that if this is who I'm attracted to, then I have to be okay with that. But also, it gives me hope as being trans attracted and dating in this community, if she has a penis or not, right? So if I'm dating a woman and she goes from being pre-op to post-op, and that surgery is available for us to conceive children, dude, I hit the lottery. For me, that's fantastic, because I'm with the woman that I love. I'm also attracted to her, and we're able to have children. I won the lottery right there. That's the way I see it. But if that doesn't come down to it, being able to have children biologically, I'm okay with that too. You know, I got other things that make me happy, and of course, there's adoption and surrogacy, and I mean, either way, all around, I win. That's the way I see it. If I find somebody that I fall in love with, if she decides to stay pre-op, cool. If she decides to go, that she wants to do post-op. Sorry, I just got a message. It's to head down that journey of being post-op, and then we'll tackle it. We'll do it together, and I'll be backing you 100% of the way. And whatever you need from me, let me help you. Let me do it. That's the way I see it. But yeah, with the whole surgery, being able to carry a uterus and being able to have children biologically, that's great. That works for me.
Well, I want to correct
Love it
myself.
too.
I don't want to sound like derogatory. I think science is amazing. I mean, look at me. I'm totally science. But I also don't think that it should shift reality, the thinking of reality. Like, I think, you know, some people need to understand that women need to be protected, men need to be protected, and trans people need to be protected as well.
Word.
This is why I come prepackaged with 2 kids already.
Yeah.
Yeah, Callan's already got kids. Yeah.